Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. Like many of you, I spent much of yesterday watching the Indians beat the Red Sox. That game ended in real life way past midnight. That was game one of the ALDS 1995 when Tony Pena hit a walk-off home run. Then the Indians shut out the Seattle Mariners and Randy Johnson in the pennant clincher in 1995. I hope a couple of guys who were not here then but are in radio in town now and are against Omar Vizquel's inclusion in the Hall of Fame got a chance to see him yesterday. One game does not define a career, but Omar did what he did for 24 years in the majors. He made two barehanded plays in the hole at shortstop and laid down a perfect sacrifice bunt with 2 strikes on him. Unfortunately for Omar, the power-hitting shortstop showed up at around the same time, but that game against Seattle that clinched the pennant for the Indians epitomized why Omar Vizquel is my favorite Cleveland Indians player of all time. We've got Doug Lesmerises here. More Sports and Les-Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les-Levine, it's a brand new week. It's a Monday. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les-Levine into its 24th consecutive year, seen exclusively on cleveland.com. Also seen exclusively with me tonight is Doug Lesmerises of the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. Hello, Doug.
Hey, Les. How you doing?
I'm well. How about yourself?
Doing great.
Good. You want to talk sports tonight, or got anything else on your mind?
Yeah, no, I got time, man. I'm good.
Do you have cue cards set up on the walls to each side?
You don't want to see what I have set up in here. There's a giant mess of stuff right there.
That may not be true. I might want to see that.
Yeah, we get desperate.
Yeah, 216-575-0403. You can email us during the show at reallesLevine@gmail.com. All right, lots to get to, believe it or not. Dan-Orlovsky, did you hear what he said today?
I heard bits and pieces.
Well, it wasn't that long, so I don't know how many bits, how many pieces you heard, but he says the biggest winner in the offseason, football, NFL football, your Cleveland Browns.
We've heard that before, right? I mean, I know people are sick of being like kings of the offseason, but would you rather the offseason be terrible? So good for the Browns.
Wouldn't you think that once you've said one year that they're the big winners, then the next year you get an opportunity to do it again, you don't take that opportunity?
Well, here's the thing. At some point, you would like them to not be the big winner because they didn't do anything.
Right.
Because they didn't need to do anything.
Right.
It's like, we have good players. We don't need anymore.
The New England Patriots are never the biggest winner in the offseason.
No. Yeah. It's like, well, we got a genius as coach.
Right.
We got the quarterback ever, and we added some guys you never heard of. We're going to win the Super Bowl again.
Well, let's take a look or a watch here as Dan Orlovsky said this on Get Up today on ESPN. He said hiring Stefanski and Berry for the front office was a good move, signing Hooper and Conklin, along with well-respected backup quarterback in case-keenum. But perhaps the biggest thing in their starting quarterback situation, their quarterback has gone silent this offseason, and that tells me he's focusing on his job. What's it telling you, Doug?
So listen, I liked last offseason confident. And if we're asking Baker Mayfield to be quiet, we're asking him to not be Baker Mayfield.
Right.
So I'm not going to say, oh, Baker Mayfield isn't making any news. I want Baker Mayfield to be Baker Mayfield. I want him to, hit open receivers and make the right reads. But I think if we're trying to make some point that like he just needs to be quiet and play, I don't think that's the Baker Mayfield we want. So I get it. They're all going to be humble, right? I mean, how can they not be? I'm humbled. I picked to go 12-4 last year. I'm going to be a little more quiet. But
so you're going to go with 14-2 then this year?
Yeah. Well, listen, you got to parcel it out. We're going to get to the point. We'll go game by game at some point, week by week.
The schedule game.
I want confident, brash, bring it on Baker Mayfield. So I'm not going to read too much into that. But if you like Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, if you like getting a good backup quarterback, if you like Austin Hooper and Conklin and all the rest, safeties they signed, I'm all in on that. I do think they're very smart.
Do you like the Baker Mayfield photographer who posted a picture of himself throwing footballs in a garage?
Who is that photographer? I have a garage. I have a football. Come take a picture of me.
Well, here's the problem with it. It wasn't a very good photographer because from the angle, he's got his arm coming across, and we'll get a chance to look at it. He's got his arm coming across, but at first glance, it looks like it's his stomach, and it's not flattering.
Oh. Yeah, well, that too. I don't need a bodybuilder.
There you go. All right, there. He's lifting. Yeah. He's got the band there. It looks like he's got a big gut, but that's really his arm in front of it.
Oh, that's his arm. That's the same with me. It looks like I have a big gut, but it's my arm.
It's really your arm. Don't we all? 216-575-0403 is the number to call. You don't want an NFL quarterback throwing his best passes in a two-car garage.
No, right? But you got to stay sharp. I admire. This is a big thing, right? This is a big test for everybody right now. Doing it on your own, and finding a way.
Yeah,
right?
that's always the argument. Get the guy in for OTAs or any other non-mandatory stuff, because no matter how hard you think you're working out, you're really not as much as you would under supervision. But everybody's on the same ball game this year, unfortunately.
And it is going to be a test. I think we talked about it on here before. Like for the college kids, for these Ohio State kids, they're off. They don't have millions of dollars to buy a home gym. Some of them, they've got to find a way. But the millionaires in the NFL, it's the same way. You have to find a way, and we're going to figure out if and when football happens, we're going to get some sense of who is getting after it in their garage and who is sitting on their couch.
Yeah, you would think. They always talk about working out together. That sometimes works, sometimes doesn't.
Well, we've seen that, right? I mean, everybody, the offseason, this is interesting because this offseason is being forced to be a little different. Every other offseason is the same. Here we are on the beach, I'm throwing with receivers. Here we are at my old high school, I'm throwing with receivers. I get it. It's about staying sharp. All of us are in spring training right now. No one's counting stats in life. We're just trying to tread water and stay sharp for when the games matter again, in life and in sport. But we will. I do think it's a test of self-discipline. It's a test of ingenuity. And I would hope that the Browns, with the season they had last year, they will all pass that test this summer.
Just thinking, you brought it up about playing catch with each other and all that stuff. I think that Knute Rockne and Gus DeRay invented spring break, throwing the ball at Cedar Point, learning how to throw passes, and they turned it into Notre Dame.
Let me write that down. I'm going to do a story on that.
Do that.
Later. I'll give you credit.
Spring break. All right.
Yeah.
We talk about Baker Mayfield and what he has to do for the team and himself, because this is a big year contract-wise. It's also a big year for Nick Chubb. There's a limited window, actually, when you think about it. Mayfield is entering the third year of a 4-year, $32.7 contract. Fifth year is team option for 2022. And Chubb is entering the third year of a 4-year, $7.38 million contract. And, obviously, most teams don't value that running back too much, but I think the Browns better value this one.
It's a tough world, and it's like, I joked a lot last offseason about having too many good players, right? Oh my gosh, what the Browns?
We don't need those guys. They can play.
But these are the problems that good teams have, and it comes up a lot. As soon as you give money to a running back, look what happened with the Rams and Todd Gurley. Right now, he has some knee problems, so that's kind of a different thing. But I've even seen people. Ezekiel Elliott held out for the huge contract in Dallas. He's great. But when you give a running back that much money, it hamstrings you a little bit. So the difference for Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb right now, Baker Mayfield is trying to play well enough to prove that he should get paid by the Browns. Nick Chubb is trying to play well enough so that there's no way he can get paid by the Browns. Because if Nick Chubb is the best running back in the NFL when it's time for him to hit free agency, I just don't think this front office is going to spend that money. So I don't want to Lindor Nick Chubb, not this early, but we have to acknowledge, all of us, the reality of running backs in the NFL. So love the good one while you got him.
All right, so we're now at the point of the program, first break, where it's time to ask you the magical question. What do you expect Baker Mayfield to be in 2020, assuming it's a full 16-game season?
I certainly expect him to be the starter. I mean, I know I thought we were going to talk a little bit about like the idea that some people think, oh, Case-Keenum's going to beat Baker Mayfield out at some point. It's crazy. he is the guy, and I think he will be somewhere between good and very good. But all those things mean a winning quarterback in year 3 in the NFL, and he has to have 100% coaching, front office, locker room backing. You've got to lean into this guy. A great experienced backup quarterback. I'm all for it. But Case-Keenum was 1-7 as a starter last year. The year before, they gave him the job in Denver. He was 6-10. This is not a guy that is going to be shoving Baker Mayfield aside, and nobody should be suggesting that. Case-Keenum's not suggesting.
No,
So
but,
it's all
but
about
wait a minute. What about the Baker Mayfield that we hear needs that challenge, needs to have somebody pushing him at all times? It certainly worked the first year when they went with they didn't start him right out of being the number 1 draft pick. What about that particular Baker Mayfield?
So I get that, right? But I also think you need, I've said a lot of times, when you draft a quarterback number 1, part of what you get is that quarterback knows he has the backing of the organization. And there's a fine line between being pushed and looking over your shoulder. So, I mean, you want an experienced guy in the room. You want him pushed in practice. You want him being challenged. But I think the biggest push for Baker Mayfield is playing better than he did last year. He knows that wasn't the real him. So good having a good backup quarterback. I don't need Baker Mayfield thinking he's going to lose his job or anything, though. He's the guy. And I think he can succeed knowing he's the guy. We know Baker likes the chip, but I think his chip this year is, I wasn't my best last year, and we weren't our best, and that should be enough.
All right, Jake Delhomme, the former NFL quarterback, had this to say on CBS Sports Radio. He said, "Don't be surprised if you see Case-Keenum come November if Baker struggles. I don't think they'll be afraid in the least bit to put in Case. Baker was not drafted by this regime, and he's taken over. That has taken over. If he does play well, I'm happy for him, but if he struggles, don't be surprised if Keenum takes over." You know, that's a lame take as far as I'm concerned. That's low fruit hanging, right?
Lame. Good word. I know Jake Delhomme, I don't know, he was in a Super Bowl or whatever. Lame. That was a lame take,
There
Jake.
you go. All right.
Because maybe wasn't, he's the type of quarterback this regime would pick, though.
Right.
I mean, the whole thing is Baker Mayfield and Case-Keenum are kind of similar. Except, guess what? The secret is Baker Mayfield is better than Case-Keenum. I mean, that's just crazy off-season ding-dong talk.
That's the new name of this show, Ding Dong Talk. We got it. More sports and more ding dong talk. All right, Doug Lesmerises is not lame. He is with us. We're here exclusively on cleveland.com. Tomorrow, Dan Orlovsky, also from cleveland.com, will join us. Did you know the Ohio Lottery has paid out over $1 billion in winnings over the past 6 months? People are winning in record numbers, and winning is happening all around the state of Ohio. Play an Ohio Lottery game and play it today. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com. With new content posted each and every day. We post a question early in the day. You respond, we put it on the air. You get to see your name and tell everybody all about it. We'll come back in a moment. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery, partners in education, where stars shine.
Birthdays for today, the great Jerry Lucas, great Ohio Stater, along with John Havlicek, and then played mostly with the Knicks. Malpractice, a doctor, 1947. Billy Cundiff, former kicker for the Browns. Richard Sherman, Chris Sale, Alex Bregman, pretty good, very good birthday day. Alex Bregman, my favorite player until about 2 months ago for the Houston Astros. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Doug Lesmerises, you chuckling down there?
I'll admit, I'm going through the list going, Billy Cundiff. What joke about? And then I was like, oh, it's malpractice. God, which one was the joke?
Oh, man. Yeah, well, yeah, I just saw whichever one was there, and even if it was the wrong order, that's okay. It's not a joke. Those are legitimate 1947. Those are legitimate birthdays in 1947.
I was banging happy birthday to Alex Bregman. I'm banging the trash can.
Excellent. Excellent. 216-575-0403. There are some trade possibilities out there for the Cleveland Browns offensive tackles. We'll get a look at Trent-Williams and Jason Peters before we put up the stats and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on those guys? It would have to be a trade, by the way.
Yeah. Right. It's all about the right price. I'm all in on taking a tackle at 10. Their need matches up with depth of talent in this draft. We all know it. We've all been talking about college tackles for months. I do think, there is some, it's not a nightmare scenario because it would still be okay, but like some world where there's some crazy run on tackles and all of a sudden, 4 of the first 9 picks are tackles. And now the plan that they've had, we're going to get our tackle. And now do you reach for a tackle or do you trade back? If you get Jason Peters, you can ease that a little bit. I'm worried about Trent-Williams. It would take a lot. It would take a lot of money, but it would make your line potentially really good. I would really like them to solve this in the draft at 10. But maybe Jason Peters, who wouldn't probably cost you as much as Williams, as like a quick hit for
Pardon? Say it again.
a year or two.
Oh, by the way, let me just, Doug and I just joked a minute ago on the 1947 birthday, which I've been doing for 100 years, and malpractice. Somebody's going to say something about not being nice to our frontline people, the doctors and nurses. It was not meant in any bad way. I hope everybody knows that. Anyway. All right, let's look at Trent Williams, offensive tackle. He's 6'5", he's 320 pounds. And he's set to make 12.5 in 2020 in the final year of his contract. 7-time Pro Bowler. Earl Anthony was a Pro Bowler also, by the way. He's worked with Browns offensive line coach Bill Callahan from 2015 until 19. That, of course, with the Washington Redskins. Jason Peters, we'll also look at. This would also have to be a trade. 38 years old, 16 NFL seasons with the Bills and the Eagles. 9-time Pro Bowler. And last year, 10 penalties, 3 sacks allowed in 872 snaps. He's primarily played left tackle in his career. So at this point, you're not going to change him over to right tackle. But on the other hand, you don't have to do that. Which of the two do you have a choice?
I think I would take Jason Peters. He's much older, you guys pointed out. So all the cost is going to be less across the board, and the commitment long term is going to be less.
Right.
I think Jason Peters, I think stopgap's the wrong word. That guy's has played at a Pro Bowl level for a long time, but I think he can get you through the next year or two. Maybe Trent-Williams is a great move, but it just makes me a little nervous to give up too much and pay too much for a guy who hasn't been on the field a lot lately.
All right, put your GM hat on. Do you want to go after one of those guys and just sign him, or do you want to and then get somebody else in the draft for some other position, or do you want to which way you want to go? You want to trade him? You got options with either one of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, it does open up the draft, right? I mean, if you get one of those guys, then you're not going to do a tackle 10, and now somebody really good falls to you, a defensive playmaker, that kind of thing. You're more open to that. Although I still, especially if you get Peters, I would want to probably draft the tackle anyway, and then maybe you don't have to play him immediately, or you work out some. I don't know. The old guy can teach the young guy. Depth is good. I really would like the Browns to take advantage of this tackle class in the draft. I think if you get one of those two guys, it gives you a little wiggle room with some of that stuff. But it feels like to me, and maybe I'll be wrong, I think their 10-year left tackle might be there for them at number 10. And if it's one of the guys really target.
Right. On the other hand, if you go with the trade route, you may have an opportunity to get Isaiah Simmons out of Clemson, and that's a game changer too.
It is, and I know there's a lot of smart stuff about talent in the draft, and you know, in free agency and in trades, you address need, and then that opens you up to do whatever is talent-wise in the draft. So if you've got a left tackle, it would allow you to do that. But boy, this tackle class is good, and what if you've got your next Joe Thomas sitting there? And I think they have a decent chance, whether it's Tristan Wirfs or Andrew Thomas, or I think they have a couple guys there that could be that guy for them. So I'm going to end up sticking with, I hope they get a left tackle at 10, and I would not probably in the end go Peters or Williams, although if I picked one, I'd think of.
All right, if they go the other way and go with Simmons, the linebacker from Clemson, you're looking at a guy who was the Butkus Award winner, awarded to the nation's top defensive linebacker. 6'4", 230, 104 tackles, 16.5 tackles for loss. He was the 2019 ACC Defensive Player of the Year. Then you've got Patrick Queen, who had a phenomenal game in the national championship game. He was the defensive MVP with 8 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, and half a sack. 6'1", 227 linebacker, 85 tackles this year, 12 tackles for losses, 3 sacks, and an interception. And not bad. Not bad. Can't go wrong with either one of those if you're going to go that way. Linebacker.
I just don't think I'd go linebacker at 10 in terms of the position value at that draft. Now, Simmons isn't a linebacker. He's everything.
Right.
So Queen, you're going to play him at linebacker. You just let a really good linebacker go in Joe Schobert. Again, I think I said this before. I am less panicked about linebacker than some other people are. If you're going Simmons and he is a gadget guy, he's a safety, he's a corner, he's a slot corner, he's a linebacker, he covers tight ends, he blitzes, he's a rush end, I don't know. He's everything. Okay. But I don't think he's going to be there.
All right, we're talking top of the draft. Let's go down just a little bit. It's not even the draft. You got one of the most popular players in the Cleveland Browns history since the 60s. We'll use that as the line of demarcation, and that was Clay Matthews. You got another Clay Matthews available now, probably not as good as he used to be, still probably has something left. This is a great PR move. I know you don't ever just look for a PR move, but if the guy can play, this will be the PR move of PR moves for this franchise.
Yeah, the best PR move is winning. So the best PR move is playoff. So you can get yourself in trouble when you start going down that road toward anything other than sign good players, get talent. But
yeah, it's intriguing.
You know,
it's intriguing. It's intriguing, but you put me in my place very well because you're 1,000% right. Winning will beat not having Bernie Kosar playing again.
Right.
Yeah. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Doug Lesmerises is with us a little bit later. Mike Masada from Nature Stone will be joining us. This is Les Levine for Northeast Factory Direct. Like you and me, everything is kind of changing daily for you and me, and also my friend Alex and everybody else at Northeast Factory Direct. They're open for essential business, taking extra precautions to keep you safe, including limited extensive physical cleaning, physical distancing, as well as minimizing contact and following all CDC guidelines. And many people are calling Alex wanting to and needing new mattresses, lift chairs, living room furniture, and more while they're home more than often. Well, I'm going to tell you how they do that. They call his personal cell phone, which is 216-288-1808. Alex can be reached. You've seen him on TV. You practically know the guy. 216-288-1808 is the number to call, or stop in. He's at all 3 locations each and every day, east, west, and south, as well as northeastfactory.com. The place to go. We'll come back in a moment. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Celebrate Nature Stone's 30-year anniversary with a free Nature Stone floor. During 2020, we will be giving away 30 free floors to 30 very lucky customers to say thank you for making Naturestone the best concrete flooring solution for garages, basements, and more. Call or visit naturestone.com today to register to win, and we'll send you a copy of our new buyer's guide absolutely free. There's no purchase necessary. Winners will be chosen monthly. With over 30 million square feet installed for more than 60,000 customers, it's easy to see why I always say it's not just a floor. Wow, it's Naturestone.
Got your Ohio Lottery pick 3, I see.
Yup. Those glasses are hip.
Hip? Most people think I'm a square. But what's wrong with that? A box bet can increase your chances of winning. And what is a box? A square. There are so many ways to play. There's coming out the wazoo. Oh, shucks. Look at me yammering on. Put a lid in it, Picky Ricky. Play the Ohio Lottery Pick 3 today.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Time for a How Come Quickie. How come some pictures of the Browns quarterback look like he spent a lot of time at the bakery? Talking about that picture that Doug likes so much. Hey, you brought up something last week that was so good, I don't even know if you remember it, but I remember it because I talked about it every day here on the show. We're talking about the baseball season, and I asked you what would be the minimum to have what would be a real baseball season. When could they start to make it feel like a real thing? And you brought up a good point that ideally, under the circumstances, 100 would be great. But even if it got down to 50 or 40, as bad as that would be for the competitive aspect of it, the nation's morale might be so down at that point that just seeing baseball, even if it's a 40-game, 50-game season, you think it might be worth it. And when you said it, I thought more about it, and I'm driving home that night and I'm saying, Doug's exactly right. It's not from a competitive aspect, it's not good, but we need it.
Sports is the heartbeat of this country. I mean, in so many ways, for good and for bad. I mean, we all put too much emphasis on sports. When you have a job, I have a job. And so it feels like to me almost the number one thing that's going to make everything feel normal again is games. And not going to games, but watching games, right? And having those familiar athletes out there. And so however that has to happen for baseball, however it has to happen for football, I think it's going to be a huge part of getting us back to where we want to be. Yeah. However, you have to do it as long as you're smart. Yeah, I don't know that you had that answer planned because we didn't talk about bringing that up. But whatever it is, whether you just thought of it on spur of the moment, whatever it is, I fully agree with you. Just get them out there and let's see them play. I mean, I was watching the Indians play in 1995 yesterday, 15-inning game. Come on. And really, I do think, and I think we've talked about this, TV runs sports already. So it's great to go out to the ballpark. It's great to get bundled up and go out to a football game. But millions of people experience that at home, and then we can be so connected just talking about our team when they're doing something new. If you can find a way somehow to play the game safely, with or without fans, I think that will be a step that everybody's it's gonna be a tough balance. You've got to be safe. Yeah. But crazy as it sounds, it's almost, I think, one of the priorities for American life is getting your sports back.
We've had some people say, why are we wasting time doing this show, for example, talking about sports when there's nothing going on? I think we need the diversion. We all need it. And we're not trying to put it on the same level as anything else here, but I think it helps us. Anything that helps us feel better, I think, is good for one, is good for another. Speaking of that, Ohio State football. We talked maybe a couple weeks ago, and we said, where are all the running backs? Running backs should be coming out of the woodwork to play at Ohio State. Well, they have in the last couple of weeks. But before we get that, a big running back was signed this week, which we'll talk about in a minute. But you always put stars next to their names: 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. How does a guy get a star, and how does that change throughout the recruiting season?
Yeah, so all these different recruiting services, there's Rivals, there's ESPN, there's 247 Sports. They all rate these guys on their own. They have evaluators who know the game really well. They're in different spots around the country. There's some national guys. They talk to coaches, they talk to college recruiting experts, come up with grades for these guys. And then they move them around. And also the types of schools that are offering scholarship to these players, that matters too. Because if you're a 3-star player and all of a sudden Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, and Oklahoma want you, you're probably going to rise up the ranking because you probably were under-evaluated before. So sometimes with Ohio State, it's like, hey, look, they have all these highly rated guys. And it's like, well, yeah, part of the reason they're highly rated is because they're going to Ohio State. But I do think these services, cleveland.com can't do that. I can't do that on my own. These national services do it. They do a good job, and colleges do pay attention to it.
All right, let's take a quick look at the defense as it stacks up now. This is the 2021 recruiting class. And you got 5 Ohioans there. Something new and exciting.
It's a good year for Ohio. Max Sawyer.
Right there. There's the offense. Now let's take a look at the offense. Anybody jump at you? Treyveon-Henderson from Virginia becomes a 5-star guy. Not a bad pick. And
that's to get Treyveon-Henderson and Evan Pryor. Those are 2 of the top 6 running backs in that class. But you also have to pay attention to Kyle McCord out of Philadelphia. That's a guy that Ryan Day handpicked. He could have had almost any quarterback in this class if he wanted. And he went after Kyle McCord really early. He's a high school teammate of Marvin Harrison Jr. That is the son of the great Colts legend Marvin Harrison. So this Ohio State 2021 class is by far the top class in the country right now. They continue to pile up verbal commitments, but to get Evan Pryor and Treyveon-Henderson, 2 running backs like that in the class, is rare.
Doug, I don't remember an Ohio State team that had 2 equal running backs, 2 equal great running backs. Who am I missing here?
There's not a lot of them. They tried it in 2018 with Mike Weber and J.K. Dobbins, and it didn't work that well. It's funny, the example, and even to go back to their recruiting class, the example that everybody points to in college football is at Georgia with Sony Michel and Nick Chubb. And those were 2 guys who were highly rated recruits in the same class. Both of them picked Georgia. They both were used. They both were effective. And Michel was a first-round pick, and Chubb was a high second-round pick. So that's sort of the standard of how this can work. And some people think some of these high school running backs, the talk about the hits on your body that you don't want to wear down, that you want to extend your career, maybe they are more open to a timeshare in college because actually it'll save them a little bit of wear and tear for when they do get to the NFL and start making money.
All right, we're going to find out if Ryan Day can figure out how to use those 2 great guys. Here's what you're looking at in Henderson out of Hopewell, Virginia. 5'11", 195, number 1 running class in the 2021 class, 198 carries, 24 yards, 45 touchdowns in 2019. You don't know who they're playing, the quality of opponent, but that amount of 45 touchdowns is considerable.
He plays in there's 6 classifications in Virginia. 6 is the highest, 1 is the lowest. He's in level 3, so it's the 4th lowest of the 6. So it's not the best teams in the state. His highlights are bonkers, though. And when you think about the fact that he's a first 5-star running back recruited to Ohio State in 15 recruiting classes since B12, That's how special it looks like this kid. He wasn't even a full-time running back as a sophomore. He goes nuts as a junior. He's the number 2 running back recruit in the country. He's got great cutting ability. Then he hits that second level once he gets to the secondary. Just, again, he's a teenager, and it's highlights, but he looks like he has everything you want, and it feels like he'll have the chance and the ability to contribute at Ohio State right away as a freshman in 2021. Again, not this season,
Next
but
season.
in
Doug Lesmerises, cleveland.com, and the Plain Dealer with us tonight. You can explore your interests, find a program that puts you on a path to a bright future. That would be a Tri-C, which offers 1,000 courses and more in over 150 career and technical programs. Go to tri-c.edu for more information. We'll come back in a moment. We'll find out what Mike's thinking. We'll get to your calls. The one line's open if you'd want to get in. 216-575-0403. More Sports and Les-Levine exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Let's take a look at this date in sports history. 1995, the Chicago Bulls started a home winning streak of 44 games. Started March 30th, 1995, and went through April 8th, 1996. Incredible. They're a pretty good team. They have any good players? Do they have any good players on that team? 95 Bulls?
I actually covered, not that year, but the next year, I covered the Bulls as a very young reporter. And, yeah, Jordan. Oh, Dennis Rodman. They had Dennis Rodman that one year. That guy. Woo!
Was he fun to cover?
They were really, I mean, they were fascinating to cover. It was like a movie premiere every night. I always tell the story of people would start leaving press row after the end of the third quarter to get in line in the hallway outside the locker room so they could get a good spot around Jordan. They didn't do it. They didn't have, separate interview rooms or anything. You had to crowd around Jordan's locker, and people wouldn't even watch the game. They would get ready for what he was going to say.
Well, we have our own rock star on staff here, Mike Masada from Nature Stone. So it's very similar. Hello, Mike.
Hello. How are you, Les?
I'm all right. You hanging in?
We are. Yeah, we all are. As I hope everybody is.
Excellent. Doug Lesmerises is here. Covers everybody. Browns, Ohio State, you name it, he covers it. I asked. He made a great comment last week, Mike, when I asked him about baseball. And I know you're a baseball guy. How many games would make it a legitimate season? And he says at that point, the morale of the country, just play some games, doesn't matter how many. Do you feel the same way or different?
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. It's funny because you've taken the sports away, and there's absolutely nothing there to be a buffer between the situation and everything else. And so sports kind of gives you that buffer zone that it takes your mind away from things, and puts you in the entertainment world for a little while. especially if you're a big sports fan. So yeah, any amount of games would be great, to play just to get back to some sense of normalcy. But so I don't disagree with Doug on that.
All right. Well, good night, everybody.
Hey, I got. You're forgetting one of the greatest Bulls of all time, Mr. Brad Sellers, who's the mayor of
Warrensville Heights, right around the corner.
That's right.
Absolutely. I have yet to forgive him for doing the inbound pass on the shot. He should have taken one for the troops, being a Clevelander and an Ohio State guy. You gotta let Craig Elo steal that ball, don't you?
That's right. He would have gone down in Cleveland Cavs history if you would have made that play.
Well, when you're 7'2" like he is and you're the mayor, it's kind of hard to hide.
Yeah, he's a great man. Does great things for that city.
All right, Mike, in the offseason here with the Browns, and hopefully it isn't much of an offseason. Hopefully you can get a full season in. What are you thinking? They got the draft coming up. Everybody's gone quiet on purpose and by design. That would be the same thing, wouldn't it, on purpose and by design? But they've gone quiet. They're not giving out any hints. Maybe they will before. There might be a press conference before. What do you think they need to do?
Well, first, I like what they did in free agency to this point. They're a team that has a lot of talent, so they were able to add some depth to the team, and then also fill a couple needs with the big lineman signing and so forth. So, in my opinion, I think that they are trying to take the best available offensive lineman, hopefully a left tackle, and have your line in place. Your left tackle, your right tackle, and your center in place for years to come. With Baker behind, I think you can move guys around at the guard position, but those three positions are extremely important and allows your quarterback to do what he has to do. So that's my hope, is that they draft, whether it's through a trade and moving up, or they stick with number 10 and pick whoever the best available left tackle is and go with that, and then they can fill in from there.
Doug, anything for Mike? Go ahead.
I think that makes a lot of sense, Mike, and it's so ridiculous sometimes to think about that, how hard it can be to find a left tackle, and that the Browns had the best one around for a decade and could never do anything with it. And I just think that such a foundational piece. They've done a pretty good job getting good young players at the most important positions, whether it's quarterback or pass rusher or cornerback. And I just feel like that opportunity, not just now, but for maybe the rest of Baker's career. What if you lock down left tackle in this draft? It's a position that you don't have to chase for a long time. You can kind of ignore it. Think if they just ignored that position with Thomas, you don't have to worry about it. And it's hard for me to get away from that. And I just think I agree with you. There's so many options there. They're not going to like all of them equally, but I think they'll like more than one guy there. And it's just hard for me to imagine doing something else.
Yeah, you talk about a guy for 10 years. That's what we talked about a quarterback. If you could have found a quarterback 10 years ago, you'd now be looking for the next one.
Right. And left tackle is one of those positions when you have a right-handed quarterback, right tackle if you have a left-handed quarterback, but in our case we've got Baker. But the left tackle spot and the quarterback spot, and then and then a couple of defensive spots like your rush end and so forth are highly paid positions for a reason. They're that important to a team. A lot of the other positions, you can find quality later on in drafts and through free agency with, but that left tackle position is a lockdown position, and they've got other lockdown positions covered. They're right there. I mean, they've got all the talent in the world. I'd like to see them get perhaps another rush end to go with Garrett. I don't think that Vernon is the answer there, although he is in a contract year, so that may cause him to play a little bit harder, because that seems to be the MO with some of these guys. But we'll see about that. But that would be another spot to take some of the double and triple teams off of Garrett and allow him to run free a little bit out there. But short of that, yeah, left tackle and then you can fill in the rest with with what's best available at that point.
All right, Mike, as always, thanks for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
Hey, you got it, guys. I appreciate the time. Everybody stay healthy. We'll get through this thing together, all right?
Yeah, one more thing. Hey, wow, it's Nature Stone.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There you go.
I love it. Thanks, Les.
Thank you, Mike
All right.
Masada. Great company, great people, and a great product. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. We talked a little bit about Northeast Factory Direct, and I just found out something. Alex goes to every store, all 3 stores, each and every day, and his personal cell phone is open and available to you if you have any questions. 216-288-1808 is the number to call. And everything, of course, changing for all of us, and everybody at Northeast Factory Direct is changing too. They're open for essential business and taking extra precautions, and they've got everything you need: building materials, kitchen cabinets, sinks, and vanities, and also important sanitary products for pools and spas like filters, pumps, and cleaners, all from Northeast Factory Direct, east, west, and south, and northeastfactorydirect.com. The James Beard Award winner, James Beard Foundation, was selected for Mike and Bernie Sokolowski, Mary Lou, Sokolowski's University Inn. They're open for takeout orders, open till 7 o'clock. You can get them for lunch or dinner and pick it up and take it on the way home. Great place, a company that needs your support, and they're just terrific people. And if you're in that area and want lunch or dinner to go, open till 7 p.m., starting at 11 in the morning, Mike and Bernie Sokolowski's University Inn. We'll come back in a moment. Doug Lesmerises with us. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get Nature Stone and never replace your garage flooring again. Your concrete is cracked, uneven, and not safe. Paints and poly coatings don't last, are slippery, and give worthless warranties. Nature Stone permanently corrects cracked, uneven concrete, eliminates slipping hazards, and is easy to clean. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, there are no hidden maintenance costs. Act now and save up to 50% with our volume discount pricing. Must be installed by the end of March. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Let's check out this date in Les-Levine history, March 30th, 1958. There's a baseball diamond in South Euclid named after Les's Little League coach, Frank Snell. Everybody wanted to play for the guy because he brought soda pop to practice, and nobody would ever miss practice. We were easy back in those days. Doug Lesmerises, cleveland.com, and the Plain Dealer with us. So is Ted in South Carolina. Ted, good evening. Go ahead.
Good evening, gentlemen. It's good to be here. Good to be with you.
Thank you, Ted.
I wanted first to say thank you for doing and everything you're doing to stay on the air, and your staff is really doing a fantastic job, and much appreciated for all of us.
I appreciate that, Ted.
But
thank you.
if you two were the overseers of what's going to happen next, let's say in the fall, what would you bring back if it was going to be the national interest? Which sport, if you could only pick one, would you bring back?
Wow.
Assuming
the weather, assuming the weather is not a factor.
Correct. Everything's the way it's supposed to
Well,
be.
I mean, anybody who's watched the show or ever heard me on radio, they know it's baseball. So somehow, some way, I'd like to see it baseball. My guess is Doug would say college football, but I may be wrong. Doug?
No, I'd say NFL. I mean, I think the NFL is so unifying. College football is still sort of a regional kind of sport. The NFL's reach from coast to coast and everywhere in between.
And they made it a 12-month season. The NFL has made it a 12-month season.
And it is so popular. The rating is so high. It permeates every part of the sport. Even though there's only, you only play once a week. It's sort of hard for me to think about no NFL, and so I'm sure a lot of people are the same way. So I think the NFL is the thing I'm thinking about.
Ted, what's your choice?
Well, I would go with baseball. I think baseball is the unifying sport. It seems to be the one that brings back everyone. And even though after 9/11, it seemed that football was what brought us back together. So I'm kind of up in the air, but baseball for me is the one.
Hey, speaking of baseball and 9/11, Brian Anderson, who pitched that game when President Bush threw out the first pitch after 9/11, Brian's going to be with us on Thursday night.
Ah, fantastic.
All right. You holding up okay, Ted?
We're doing great down here. Self-quarantine, though.
Yeah. Listen, you wrote a nice note to me last week, and I don't know that I returned the favor, but what you said I appreciate very much. We all do around here. Thanks, Ted.
Well, thank you very much. Be well, gentlemen.
Good to talk to you.
Take care.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. All right, we have a Facebook question. We'll ask Doug this question first before we give you what the audience said. If you had one question to ask Jimmy Haslam, what would it be?
Oh, boy. Probably something about how much are you actually involved in the decision-making of the football operations, and how do you decide how much you're going to be involved?
Okay, we got a few responses just like that. Let me run through them. Chris Ard says, since you have the cohesion you've been seeking, are you willing to sit back and let your football guys make football decisions? Len Gold says, what are your future plans for the First Energy Stadium? Edward Wagers, D. Podesta through 0-16 and 1-15. He gets to stay, but Dorsey gets fired after 6-10. Glenn Berger, who had the final decision in selecting Johnny Manziel with a first-round pick. Rick May, if the NFL season is canceled, would you actually keep the entire coaching staff until next year, or would you fire them all just out of reflex? Greg Burns, if the latest front office change fails, would you consider selling the team? Michael Cirolo, would you please sell the team and go back to Tennessee? Doug Guito, what day is the moving truck coming to town? I'll come over and load it for free. John Marusa says, how much toilet paper is it going to take to get you to sell? Not a lot of favorites on that.
No there. I mean, it's just with any owner, I think we're all so interested. We understand it's their money. We understand that most of them have been successful in some other walk of life before they own a team. I talked to a member of the Rooney family, Jim Rooney, last year. And he was talking about his dad and father and how they were always in there talking with head coaches, and they didn't just put their money in and step away. They were very involved with it. And the Steelers have had a ton of success.
Well, being involved in making decisions are two separate things.
That is, and is it collaborative? Do you give your opinion but listen to your football experts, right, and you all make a decision together? You can set a culture. You can do all these things. But I think we're all interested in what is the decision-making process, and how often does an owner end up overruling their football people? Are you hiring the wrong people and they're making bad decisions, or sometimes are they making good decisions and you're not listening? I think whenever we can get inside that process, we learn a lot about any franchise.
Dan Lobby from cleveland.com will join us tomorrow night. Dennis Maniloff on Wednesday, and on Thursday, Brian Anderson, former Indian. Terrific, one of the best interviews you're ever going to find. If you can't catch us between 6 and 7 when we're on live, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, you can also leave us a voicemail of Truth and Reason message at 216-200-6650, 216-200-6650. We're coming back one more time with Doug Lesmerises. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get Nature's Stone and never replace your garage flooring again. Your concrete is cracked, uneven, and not safe. Paints and poly coatings don't last, are slippery, and give worthless warranties. Nature's Stone permanently corrects cracked, uneven concrete, eliminates slipping hazards, and is easy to clean. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, there are no hidden maintenance costs. Act now and save up to 50% with our volume discount pricing. Must be installed by the end of March. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature's Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, Dan Lobby, he's the one on the left in that, as seen in that picture. From cleveland.com, and the Plain Dealer covers the Browns, does a terrific job doing it. Dennis Maniloff on Wednesday, Brian Anderson on Thursday. Doug Lesmerises with us tonight. Doug, I mentioned Brian Anderson, and he pitched that game when the first one after 9/11. He also was the pitcher that pitched the top of the eighth inning again, or top of the ninth inning rather. No, hold on. I'll be with you in a minute. Bottom of the eighth inning. There you go. When everybody said they should have taken Jose Mesa out, or shouldn't have taken him out, they would have had to leave Brian Anderson in, who would pitch that eighth inning. And he also would have led off the inning as they didn't have the DH because the game was down in Florida. So Brian says, no matter how bad Mesa may have done, you didn't want to see Brian Anderson batting in that situation.
Better in sports than second guessing when things go wrong. But you, in those big moments, right, you got to play it the way you always played it. You can't change your strategy then.
Absolutely. You know, in the Mesa situation, you did it for 162 games. You're not going to change in Game 7 of the World Series, I don't think. That's the first way to get fired if you make that choice.
Well, that's the thing, right? And sometimes that's the problem with all coaches is you do the thing that everybody expects, and if it goes wrong, it's not your fault. It's the player's fault. You do something different, all of a sudden it's your fault.
Right.
So, coaches and managers fall into that.
No question about it. All right, what do you, as a sports writer, columnist, and a great one at that, what are you looking for over the next couple of weeks? Obviously, a break in the horrible situation we have going, but from a sports angle, is there anything you're looking at?
You know, I think roster building I'm fascinated by roster building at all levels, at all times. So, I mean, like how the Browns are coming together, way Ohio State continues to recruit. You know, there's, as long as we still have seasons to look forward to, for instance, and I keep talking about football, again, football is so big in this country. Nothing has changed with football, really.
Because of the time, because of the timing of it.
Right. So we haven't really had a football effect. They're going to have an NFL draft. They're not going to have waterfalls or whatever, but they're going to make the picks. Ohio State have players on campus. They're still getting recruits. So we haven't really had a huge effect. We're going to find some practice limited, but we can think about football the same way right now. So I like off-season football. You know, the issue is going to be if we get to the season and there's no game. But I think off-season football should keep us going for a while.
All right, Doug, great job as always. We'll get in touch. We'll grab you back here. We appreciate it very much. Good to see you. Stay safe at home.
Same to you, Les. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Just thanks to Doug Lesmerises. Just want to say one thing. You know, at the beginning of the show, when I talk about 24 years here doing this show, 24 years ago, they put me together with a guy named Mark Heffernan as the producer of the show, who helped me through going from radio, which was my livelihood, into television. Mark Heffernan, a big reason why it came to be. Mark unfortunately passed away at the age of 60 just a couple of days ago, and we miss him already, and we appreciate everything that he has done. He's got a great family, and our condolences go out to them. Mark Heffernan dead at the age of 60. All right, that'll do it for us. Our thanks to our great crew here and to everybody else who joined us along the way. We'll see you tomorrow night. We'll have Dan Lobby. Wednesday night, D-Man, Dennis Maniloff. Thursday, Brian Anderson. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.